Do you ever get that feeling that something just isn't right? You get that feeling that something's a little off, but you're not quite sure exactly what it is.
Down there.
Call it a sensation, call it a feeling, call it intuition. You know things aren't the way they should be. Well, jumping into Monster Hunter Wilds beta, that's exactly how I felt with the combat system. Now, I didn't jump in and use a plethora of weapons. I jumped in straight to my main weapon, the longsword, as 99% of you dweebs out there are also using. Now, we use a longsword because you feel so immersed. You feel like the main character. It's a boss position to be in when you can go through, cut through, do all this sick damage, have great mobility, and of course, all of our countering. Then you top that off with your massive finishes, and boy does it feel good. But in Wilds, I didn't get that same feeling. I'm not too sure exactly what it was, whether it was the camera angles, where it was the slight changes to the moveset. I can't put my finger on it, but I didn't feel that same main character energy as I usually do when I play Monster Hunter with the longsword. Don't get me wrong, Monster Hunter Wilds with the cinematics and cutscenes is absolutely beautiful. I was getting goosebumps just with the opening story coming through, and let's be honest, we don't play Monster Hunter for the story, so that was a real added bonus. And walking out into the world, or riding your sacred out to the world I should say, it was beautiful. The environment looked gorgeous. The changing weather was an amazing touch that they've added. I love that aspect of the game. But the combat, maybe it could just be with the longsword, felt so off. And I can't put my finger on it. I did try switching to a different weapon, the switchblade. Sorry, the charge blade. See, don't even know the name of it. I don't use many weapons. I use the longsword, I use the great sword sometimes, and I use the sword and shield. So the charge blade was completely new turf for me. But I gave it a go. It was a lot more fun to use, and perhaps because I wasn't familiar with it, maybe that's why I didn't get that off feeling when using it. But the issues didn't just stop at the weapons. It also was encountered when I was fighting the monsters. A lot of the times, it was confusing to try to tell when they were just moving, or when they were initiating an attack, or performing an attack. There were times when I thought that I was being hit, but it was actually just a movement of the monster, and vice versa. Now, I know that comes with the game and learning the monsters and understanding their movesets, but when it's so indistinguishable between what's just a movement and what's an attack, unless it's a very advertised, obvious attack, I feel you lose a lot of your strategic gameplay. I found myself almost capable of just hack and slashing my way through a lot of the early monsters rather than actually having to pay attention to what was going on. Now, I am yet to jump back into it and face the new endgame monsters they've put into the game, or the high difficulty monsters that they've added to the beta, so maybe I'll eat my words. But just based on my first experience of the game, I'm torn. Everything looks beautiful, everything feels smooth, but it doesn't feel right. I was actually surprised. When I played Worlds and Iceborne, the clutch claw was something that used to really annoy me. I didn't understand that mechanic of the game. Like, really? I have to attach myself to this monster in order to create a wound, to get critical hits. I felt like that was a dynamic of the game or a mechanic of the game rather, that was just not necessary. Now that it's been removed, and in Wild we've got the new focus wound system instead, I wish I had the clutch claw back. It provided a lot more mobility, and it provided another layer to the game. I feel like we've gone back to a much more one-dimensional game, rather than the at least two-dimensional game that we had with Monster Hunter Iceborne. I feel like this is going to be a topic that is going to divide a lot of the community, so I'd be keen to hear your thoughts. Did you like the clutch claw in Iceborne? Have you played the beta of Wilds? And what would you have preferred? Would you prefer they kept some form of the clutch claw mechanic? Or are you happy with the new wound system that they brought out? Anyway, stay tuned. I'm going to be putting up more videos, more content here on YouTube. I did really want to be going live and streaming a lot of my content, but unfortunately I'm running into technical issues. So if we get those technical issues sorted, I'll see you on the live. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Happy hunting.